Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review, or as the Kroger turns. So
Yes.
now we have a lawsuit, surprising no one. We have the FTC suing to block it, 9 states also. I've seen some more states have joined in on lawsuits. And basically, the FTC said prices are going to go up, divestitures insufficient. Um, Kroger said, we'll see you in court. Um, that's where we are right now. I haven't seen any statements from Albertsons, but I didn't check the local media because I feel like local people would hit Albertsons up for more of this.
Yeah, Kroger, we did run Kroger's response, which basically went point by point saying, no, that's wrong. We disagree. We disagree. We disagree. In the FTC's defense, we did see a merger that looked kind of similar to the way this looks a few years ago. And the whole spinoff thing was a complete disaster.
And that's Hagen, the spinoffs of Hagen after Safeway and Albertsons merged. For most of us, I feel like the Safeway Albertsons was a West Coast kind of power play there, because the concentration of those stores. Safeway was based in Pleasanton, California. Albertsons based in Boise. There are Safeway and Albertsons stores east of that, of course, but the concentration of Kroger's is way more on the eastern side of the U.S. I'll throw in the map here to show you where and this is a Kroger generated map that shows you where their overlap is and where a lot of the stores would be divested. I think the most numbers that we saw was maybe up to 600 stores. But keeping in mind that that is a pretty small fraction of the total number of the footprint that we would see. And then I did see that the National Grocers Association jumped in on this, and they, of course, support the challenge because they're pointing out that four big food retailers control 69% of the nation's supermarket shelves. And they're more concentrating on it as a problem being in the division of suppliers and the clout that big retail has as far as getting favorable pricing. So their angle is a slightly different than the FTC. The FTC is more focused on the consumer angle and how it affects consumers.
There absolutely is a argument to be made that as buyer strength is concentrated, they are making conditions more difficult on suppliers. And for people who make that argument, I completely see that. I mean, that's a real thing.
Well, and just think about what Kroger's done over the last couple of months, even. They announced that new produce supplier requirements for integrated pest management and sustainability goals. They're pushing that through, and that's going to affect the entire supplier community. And as they get bigger, they're going to be able to make bigger demands of the community, and where else is someone going to go if they don't want to sign up on what they want to do? So I mean, they've all got a point being, we are not surprised to see an FTC challenge. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, supermarket merger that we've seen in our careers. So it does not surprise us to see that the government authorities are saying we got to take a closer look at this and justify it all the way down from A to Z. Speaking of store footprints, and this is all we're gonna wrap it up together in a nice bow of how this is all connected. Dollar General opened its 20,000th store in Alice, Texas, which is way down south. It's west of Corpus Christi, also known as the middle of nowhere. If you've ever been to Alice, Texas, which I have, the funny thing is that I saw that it's not just a regular Dollar General, it's a Dollar General market. So the DG market concept that actually has a full produce department. I thought that was really interesting to see that they're celebrating the 20,000th store with a store that is focused on being more of a grocery store.
Yeah, we've covered um, these produce bonus stores, and they are great looking stores. What's the number up to that they have produce in? Was it like going to be 5,000 this year? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
right?
5,000 by the end of the year. And that's 25% of their footprint. And I started covering it when it was a needle in a haystack, where I'm out there on LinkedIn going, hey, if anyone sees one of these stores that has fresh produce in it, please let me know because I want to go see it. And then I ended up going to Nashville and finding one that actually had fresh produce in Nashville, which is Goodlettsville is a Nashville suburb. And
Right.
that's the home headquarters of Dollar General. Funny thing is, though, that we went to a basketball playoff game here in Texas in San Marcos, and we drove past the Dollar General on the way to San Marcos High School, and I looked in the front. We had to go through the parking lot because we missed the turn. And I looked in the front window, and they had it was a regular Dollar General store, and it had a fresh produce department in it. And if we hadn't been running late, I would have been like, "Hey, stop! I want to see this." So it's not becoming that uncommon to find one of their stores that has produce in it. And it's not surprising to see that people are focusing on retailers that are more value conscious. That's a
Does that
segue.
lead us into our next story?
That was a
Yes, I wrote a
smooth
column.
segue.
That was smooth. I wrote a column about how inflation continues to be a big problem. The Wall Street Journal last week had a really interesting story about um, how prices as a percent, or sorry, food costs as a percent of consumers' disposable income is up to the highest it's been in 30 years. And then I found some other analysis that showed just it was actually a Deloitte study, and it showed that just an enormously high percentage of consumers who say they remain concerned about inflation even after inflation is really moderated. So about as high as it was above 9 in the summer of 22, and according to this survey, people concerned about inflation was the highest there too. But its inflation has dropped, and the concern has only dropped by like 10 percentage points. So it's still a huge concern. So I think the message is value and price will continue to be a a spot that you can make some noise with consumers and tell them that you're feeling their pain.
And make sure that you're doing it in a way that is sensitive to it, because I don't know if you've paid attention lately, but the Kroger's not Kroger, Kellogg's CEO recently hit a super flat note by saying, our profits are up and we've raised prices and we're going to go ahead and keep them high because we're making so much money, and cereal for dinner is becoming way more popular. And he said something to the effect that they're looking at meal occasions, and it all seemed regular, normal corporate speak. It was a TV interview, and then he said, people our consumers are pressured, so cereal for dinner is becoming a more common thing to see. And the interviewer was like, "Don't you think that's gonna fall flat?" And he's like, "Ah." And wow, it has. It totally has. So maybe when we're emphasizing value, we can emphasize what we can buy for value and how much you can buy for value, and not that you should be eating cereal for dinner if you're broke. I think we already knew that.
No, we don't cover cereal, but the last
Right.
time I looked into that, their year over year sales have been dropping consistently for a long time. I mean, my kids have not grown up eating cereal for breakfast. I mean, that's to yours?
I got one that will eat it, and I've got another one that won't touch it. He's got to have like a 4-course meal for breakfast, but then again, he's a teenage boy and he's a garbage disposal of food. But I am one of those people. We keep a box or two of cereal in the house. And if you cannot find anything to eat, then I guess you can have a bowl of cereal. But their profits, I guess, are still going up because they've jacked the prices up. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to the cereal department. I just paid attention to how That's being played in the media, similarly to what Wendy's experienced in the last week or so. They mentioned that they invested in price boards, which McDonald's has as well, where they can change the prices on the fly in each individual store, and they called it dynamic pricing. The internet picked that up and said, Wendy's is going to start charging surge pricing. Like when
Price
you
gouging.
price gouging, like when you are landing in a convention town and need an Uber, and all of a sudden the Uber that was $25 is now $75. That hit super flat, to the effect that they even had to issue a statement that said, no, 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 we don't plan on charging surge pricing. What we said was dynamic pricing. And it's like all of that flat, super flat. It's you have to have nuance with how you present your value proposition to people. And I think that was another part of what you wrote about, where it's like the retailers that are emphasizing what you can get for your money, and not just, hey, if you're broke, shop here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to say it nicer than that.
Yeah, you know what? And then to bring it all together, my husband sent me an article that was talking about San Marcos, Texas, which is not very far from the headquarters of HEB. And of course, the largest Buc-ee's in the US is there as well. They had a funny article where it's like, yeah, we got HEB and Buc-ee's, but can we please get an Aldi? You know, a bunch of consumers saying, hey, can we get one of these discount retailers? Because we don't have any. So if you got it, let's make sure that we talk about it.
I don't take mine for granted.
You shouldn't. It takes me 30 minutes to get to one. All right, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And
Oh,
be
and check
on
it
the
out.
lookout for our new, all right, that's too close. Our new KYC guide, our annual huge magazine.
And that's
That
not the only thing that's new from Blue Book. We'll be talking about it at the Southeast Produce Council's Southern Exposure next week. Come talk to me. Ask what's new in Blue.